As a soldier was clearing the battlefield, he discovered a young girl, alive in a forest full of corpses. The soldier reached out his hand, hoping to pull the frightened girl away from the carnage. But she clung to her mother's body, even though her mother was dead. Unable to communicate in the same language, the soldier gently explained that he meant no harm. And though she did not understand his words, the girl sensed his good intentions. A simple hug began an extraordinary story that would span more than half a century. The soldier's comrades were surprised to see him carrying a child, but none could bear to leave the lonely girl, so they took her with them as they continued their journey. The girl became dependent on the soldier, who cared for her like a father. But on the dangerous battlefield, he was badly wounded and unconscious for a long time. The girl kept vigil at his bedside until the moment he finally awoke, bringing a smile to her worried face. Although they did not understand each other's words, love needs no translation. The soldier treated the orphaned girl as his own daughter, while his comrades became her doting uncles. They gave her a name, Ayla, which means halo of the moon, because she had a face as luminous as the moon. The obedient girl had only one act of defiance. She would sneak into the soldier's bed at night after he fell asleep. The love the soldier and his comrades showered on Ayla brought the shy girl out of her shell and brightened their dreary days of training with laughter. The soldier taught Ayla to read and write and took her on a vacation to Japan. She grew more and more attached to him.
Baba.
While he experienced the weight of a father's responsibility for the first time, the soldier gave a child without a family a new home filled with love. And the girl brought a ray of moonlight into the soldier's grim world of war. There were joys and regrets along this way. Together, the girl and the soldier managed to get an autographed photo of Marilyn Monroe, who had come to entertain the troops. But the soldier's best friend, a devoted fan who wanted Monroe's autograph the most, died in combat before he could receive the photo. The loss of his close friend devastated the soldier, and Ayla did her best to comfort him from behind. After a year of fighting in Korea, the soldiers' battalion was ordered back to Turkey. The men said their tearful goodbyes to Ayla, not knowing if they would ever see each other again. To care for Ayla, the soldier decided to stay in Korea rather than return home. His girlfriend in Turkey was furious when she heard of his cancelled wedding plans. Though he longed for home and missed his fiancée, the soldier could not bring himself to abandon Ayla, the girl who now saw him as her father. He had to fulfill his duties as her father. But when the political situation changed, all Turkish troops were ordered to leave Korea. The soldier wanted to adopt Ayla, but Korean and Turkish authorities forbade him to do so. His colonel decided to take Ayla to a Turkish-run orphanage in Korea. Unable to refuse, the soldier had no choice but to visit the orphanage first. To avoid upsetting Ayla, he lied that he was taking her to school. Encouraged by the soldier, Ayla reluctantly followed a teacher into a classroom. She was soon drawn to the sound of the piano, the Turkish national anthem. The soldier told the girl that he would be proud if she could learn to sing it best. Eager to make her father proud, Ayla eagerly joined in. The soldier watched through the window with tears in his eyes, looking at her smiling face as long as he could. Seeing that Ayla was being cared for, the dejected soldier reluctantly pulled away. Perhaps sensing her father's grief and impending departure, Ayla burst out of the classroom in tears, clinging to the soldier and crying,
Baba!
To keep his promise, the soldier decided to find a way to take Ayla back to Turkey. He hatched a plan and threw away all his belongings to make room in his luggage. He cut a small hole in the suitcase for Ayla to hide in, making her promise to keep quiet until they passed through security and boarded the ship. The guard inspecting the luggage noticed something odd, but let the soldier through out of trust. Just as the soldier thought his plan to smuggle Ayla to Turkey had succeeded, officers stopped him at the boarding gate. The director of the orphanage had discovered Ayla's disappearance and called the military police to intercept the soldier. Left with no choice, the suitcase was opened, exposing the failed plan. The soldier narrowly avoided being court-martialed. His friends urged him to return for Ayla after the war.
Biliyorum. Biliyorum, bir gün buraya onun için tekrar geri döneceksin.
But the soldier made a silent vow. He would return for his beloved Ayla no matter what. Their tearful parting was heartbreaking.
Geri geleceğim ve bu sefer hiç ayrılmayacağız.
Oldu mu?
Söz. Babalar evlatları için mücadele eder.
Arriving in Turkey, the soldier found no girlfriend waiting for him at the train station. His friends informed him that she had married another man, angry that the soldier had broken off their engagement for a stranger's child.
Ama sen o küçük kızı buradaki bu kızdan daha çok önemsedin.
With his sweetheart gone, the soldier's spirit was crushed. In deference to his parents, he married a neighbor girl who had cared for them in his absence. Despite the soldier's emotional distance, his new wife was incredibly understanding, never complaining, as he fixated on finding news of Ayla. Sensing his concern, she lovingly made him breakfast and listened to his worries.
Şu kızı arıyorsun değil mi? Kore'deki. Biliyorum işte. Gel otur şöyle, bir konuşup dertleşelim. Her şeyin bir çaresi bulunur. İşte benim gönül verdiğim adam dedim. Bak biz evliyiz artık. İzin ver sana yardım edeyim. Senin sözün benim sözüm. Nerelere başvurulacaksa ben başvurup ben sorayım.
Deeply moved by the soldier's compassion and integrity, the woman went to great lengths to find information about Ayla. But after months of fruitless searching, embassy officials regretfully informed her that the orphanage had been closed and the children sent to various institutions. And Ayla was not even the girl's real name. Unable to help, they said it would be extremely difficult to locate her. The soldier longed to go to Korea himself and search for Ayla, but now his wife was expecting their first child and he had new responsibilities. He could only wait helplessly for his chance.
Sadece biraz zaman.
Time passed quickly, and 5 decades passed. The youthful soldier was now old and frail, but he still had not had the chance to find his Korean daughter, although he thought about her all the time. In 1999, a devastating earthquake in Turkey made the soldier count his blessings and reflect on his life. Looking through old photos, he knew his time was short. If he left his promise to Ayla unfulfilled, it would haunt him forever. He stroked the faded pictures as tears fell, consumed by regret.
Ama ben bir söz verdim. Artık sözümü tutmadan ölmek istemiyorum.
His children failed to understand his obsession, but his loyal wife remained by his side, eternally supportive. The aging man would sit transfixed by any television news from Korea, desperately searching to see if Ayla would appear. In his fading vision, he imagined seeing her familiar face and hearing her voice calling,
Baba.
but he knew these were only hallucinations born of deep longing. God have mercy on the veteran. Then, by chance, the soldier's wife received a phone call from the embassy. A South Korean journalist wanted to make a documentary about the Turkish army in the Korean War. After hearing veterans tell Ayla's story, deeply moved, the reporter vowed to help the soldier find Ayla and film their reunion. Hope ignited in the soldier's heart. Finding Ayla had become his life's work. But although the journalist's efforts and modern technology aided in the search, all they had to go on were old photos and the name Ayla. It was discouraging. Korean and Turkish journalists tirelessly combed national archives in Korea and tracked down Ayla's orphanage classmates. They remembered her vividly, the girl who waited silently for her father and proudly sang the Turkish national anthem. the Turkish journalist promised the soldier that they would not give up the search. But as she left, the soldier's own daughter stopped her, fearing the stress would be too much for her elderly father. Overhearing, the soldier told his daughter that Ayla was his child as well, and his vow to her held as much weight as his vow to his own blood.
Ben bir söz verdim. Babalar evlatları için mücadele eder, verdikleri sözler için yaşar.
Finally understanding her father's heart, the daughter embraced her father. Finally, good news came from Korea. Reporters found Ayla, and soon arranged a meeting between the soldier and Ayla, who couldn't wait to fly to Korea to recognize him.
맞아요.
Ayla will never forget that night. Poor helpless, she met her guardian angel, her second father. The moment came. The soldier recognized Ayla immediately, even though 60 years had passed. But Ayla had always been the little girl in his heart, and even though they had only been together for a handful of years, this deep relationship transcended blood, distance, and time. The promise they made when they were separated, after more than half a century, finally did not become a permanent regret. Ayla remembers her father giving her towels to make clothes, and also remembers that no matter how busy he was, he always took the time to feed her. Without her father's outstretched arms to hug her, she might have frozen to death in the wilderness. And for the soldier, a promise that took a lifetime to fulfill. This movie is based on a true story. In real life, the soldier was an elderly man sitting outside a bakery. Once reunited, he and Ayla were never separated again. When death loomed in 2017, the soldier's last thoughts were still of Ayla, and he blessed his daughter with a beautiful life. Ayla held her father's hand at his deathbed, just as she had at his sickbed in the army camp so many years before. The soldier's death brought their poignant story to a close, a stirring testament to parental love rising above the turmoil of war. Although this is not a movie review channel, I was so moved by this movie and this story that I felt compelled to share it more widely in the hope that others might also feel the light of love.